something happening here.
This land is your land. If it takes them to tear the fascists down, down, down.
There is power in our union. We fascists goodbye.
Welcome to TNZ Talk with radio veteran Tony Trupiano and Huffington Post blogger and writer at Liberals Unite, Richard Zombeck, where they do lean left, but always talk straight.
Alrighty, welcome to this special Friday, July 29th, 2016 edition of TNZ Talk. I am Tony Trupiano. We do talk straight. And we're going to really talk straight today. I am the T in TNZ, the Z in TNZ. Richard Zombeck joins us now, a prolific writer, the professor himself. And we're going to talk about some of his writing today. Happy day after Convention Friday.
Happy day after Convention Friday to you, Tony Trupiano, longtime radio personality.
You know, there's a reason that he says my first and last name, and I'm not going to get into it, but it's okay.
No, get into it.
No, it's all right.
Our listeners might like to know.
What I'd really like to get into is the fan mail we got yesterday.
What did we... Oh, yeah, awesome show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, I appreciated that. You know, whenever anybody takes the time... And I need to find that email so I can say her name on the show. And I happen to know where it's at.
Rita.
When somebody takes the time to write and say, awesome show, or you suck, whatever, because I've had lots of both of those, I appreciate it. I really do. I appreciate it a great deal.
Well, you suck, Tony.
No, when they take the time to write, I said.
No, I'm
take
writing.
the time to offend me.
I'm writing it right now.
Okay, well, I'll look forward to getting the email.
So, the subject of the email was yesterday's podcast, and it said, all I can say is in one word, awesome, in all caps, with just a ton of exclamation points behind it. Best regards, Rita.
Thank you, Rita.
Yeah.
Lovely Rita.
Lovely Rita. She's actually not a meter maid.
No, we don't know that. She could be. I'm just saying. I doubt that she is, but I mean, there are still meter maids in the world, and meter men. I don't know what they call men that do it. Yeah. I guess meter maids as well. Why do we have to be gender non-specific?
Yeah, I sent her back. I said, which one? The one with Paul Simon? So we've only had one good show? That's what I said.
You did not.
I did.
Okay.
I did. So
well, anyway, it is the day after the convention, and Donald the douche, of course, tweeted during the speeches. He tweeted all week. He tweeted after the speeches. He tweeted after last night's events, and then
he tweeted after Hillary Clinton said something about him tweeting, and everyone on his staff said, "Don't tweet." And then at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, he just could not contain himself and went totally ballistic.
Can you imagine, like, him sitting at home in his multi-million-dollar apartment with all the gold overlay and Melania sexily lying in her silk pajamas on the bed and him going, "Shut up, bitch, I'm tweeting right now."
Yeah. I know. I thought you were going to say his multi-million-dollar underwear, but
there's probably some truth to that. Made, of course, in Taiwan.
Right, with golden turds.
Actually, we didn't need to go there.
They'd just be golden skid marks.
Wow. See, this is the stuff, and you say it's me, but it's actually you. But we're going to let it go. No,
I
no.
I didn't say anything about your attitude. I just said that you were uncharacteristically cruel these days.
No, not cruel. Honest.
Suggesting that I have anger issues and suggesting that I be medicated. That
all right. Even you agreed you have anger issues.
Listen, Tony. Truth without compassion is brutality, my friend. Okay. Let's just keep that in mind.
But I'm very compassionate.
Yeah. Well, I believe you suggested Zoloft or Prozac or something.
All right, Ativan. I'm sorry. Maybe I just suggested the wrong thing. I don't know. Oh, anyway, I got to tell you, I'm tired. I watching the convention all week. See, with the Republican convention, if you didn't watch for 2 or 3 hours, you missed nothing. I mean, literally, you missed nothing.
Oh, I beg to differ.
No, you really didn't.
You missed that the world was ending. That
from every speaker,
gay Mexican zombies were invading our communities and were going to rape us all.
From every speaker.
Well, yeah, you're right. You're right.
I missed nothing.
You didn't miss much.
No, I mean, I did watch it. I did have it on, but I could multitask. I could nap, and I could get up later on and
could go for a walk, come back.
Right. Make a 5-course meal.
Right. I didn't have to turn up the volume to go to the bathroom because I wasn't going to miss anything.
Right. Yeah. So, unlike the Democratic convention, it was really interesting. I was watching MSNBC last night, and Rachel Maddow said the following, and I'm paraphrasing, of course. Tonight's kind of a real low-energy night. There's really, with the exception of Governor Jennifer Granholm, which she was hoping was going to be electric, which it was, in its own weird way. She said, this is really a low-energy night. And it didn't end up being low energy in any way, shape, or form.
No, in fact, it was, aside from Chelsea.
Let's get it over with before we get to audio. I thought she was great. You thought she stunk.
Yeah, I thought it was lame. I just thought it was lame. Oh, my mom reads Chugga Chugga Choo Choo, and she's such a nice Grammy, and my mom just loves me so much.
And your problem with that is?
It's great for an interview, but I didn't think it was appropriate for the convention.
What should she have said?
My mother's a heartless war hawk, and Republicans will love her. I'm kidding. I get it. I don't, I'm not really commenting on the convention and her speech per se. I'm commenting on the visceral and physical illness that afflicts me when I see mushy public displays of affection.
Okay.
It kind of it made me uncomfortable.
Don't know why. I really don't know why. But okay.
Well, it was kind of like, Al Gore tonguing his wife on stage.
All right. Why do you keep doing this?
Well, he did do that. They said he needed to be more loving to his wife, and he basically just forced his tongue down her throat right there on national stage.
Yes.
Yeah. It was creepy. It's kind of like Donald Trump patting Ivanka on the butt and her recoiling. That was weird, too.
Also, what was weird is he said one time, if Ivanka weren't my daughter, I would date her.
Yeah.
I liked that woman last night, the first Republican that talked and said something along the lines of, if you're not a 10, you don't matter in his world.
Yeah.
Listen, it's nice to know people are paying attention. It really is. Anyway, Again, we again have a lot of audio and want to make sure we have time to comment on it all.
I kept them relatively short this time, though.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I know because because you control the audio and you're no fan of Hillary Clinton.
But that's not true. I didn't keep it short. I kept it short. I should be commended for my hard work and diligence in this area, my good sir.
You are commended.
Yeah, well, hardly. I didn't hear any applause for that beautiful intro that I put together.
That's not true. The applause came via email, and I'm still waiting for the one from you that says I suck.
I know. If we weren't just audio, you would see me jumping up and down, right?
Wow. Yeah, I guess. Anyway, let's start with the Donald himself, and of course, listen. You and I disagreed on what his intent was, but let's play it, and I'm going to ask you and I and the audience to listen very carefully. Not to just what he says, but how he says it.
Okay, so this is Donald Trump's reaction to DNC speakers.
The things that were said about me. I mean, should I go through some of the names? Should I? No. You know what? I wanted to hit a couple of those speakers so hard, I would have hit them. No. I was going to hit them, so I was all set. And then I got a call from a highly respected governor. How's it going, Donald? I said, well, it's going good, but they're really saying bad things about me. I'm going to hit them so hard. I was going to hit one guy in particular, a very little guy. I was going to hit this guy so hard his head would spin. He wouldn't know what the hell happened. And he came out of nowhere. They make deals with me. Would you help me with this? Would you make this deal and solve the problem? I solved the problem. I do a great job. I was going to hit a number of those speakers so hard their heads would spin. They'd never recover. And that's what I did with that's why I still don't have certain people endorsing me. They still haven't recovered, okay? All
right, I'm in your camp now.
I was going to say, go ahead, Tony.
No, I'm in your camp now. I am.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I thought he meant physically. He didn't.
Yeah, no. He always does, but I mean, he meant I'm really, I mean, it's kind of an East Coast, New Jersey, New York kind of bruiser guy. I'm going to hit you so hard with my next comment that you're not even going to know what's going on. And,
so who was the little guy he was talking about?
Well, so this is interesting, right? So I was thinking about this, and it just came to me because I saw a couple of his tweets, and he said this little guy, and in one of his tweets he referred to little Michael Bloomberg.
Okay.
Along with Crooked Hillary, and a highly respected governor. We know who that is. I mean, it's got to be Mike Pence, his VP. So this is the interesting thing, right? So Clinton and I think Obama and a couple other people called him a demagogue, which he is. And Mike Pence's comment on that was the presidential campaign is no place for name calling. Right?
Okay.
And get this, right? At the time that he's giving that interview is when Donald Trump is tweeting Crooked Hillary and little Michael Bloomberg, and and he's just on this firestorm of tweets, just insulting people. I mean, literally, within the same half-hour time frame of Mike Pence saying, "I don't think that the presidential campaign is any place for name calling."
So, and again. I will, and I'm sorry for the people that listen regularly, but I have to say this one more time. Does it matter?
No.
His behavior doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. All right.
And,
so here,
and actually, because if you're going to Morning Joe there, let's do Madeleine Albright first.
No, I wasn't going there yet.
Oh, then by all means continue.
Thank you. You and I had a discussion off air today about the Democrats basically hijacking the Republican let's call it former platform, patriotism, military, cops, etc. I was listening to NPR this afternoon, and E.J. Dionne and David Brooks were on, and David Brooks said exactly what you said, that Donald Trump has surrendered the GOP to the Democrats. He is not patriotic. He is filled with vitriol. He is clearly not someone that cares about the American people. And the Democrats have decided that, not that they weren't always, compassionate and loving and family values driven, etc., but they've decided to co-opt the Republican mantra, and we'll see how well they wear it.
Well, and what's interesting, too, right, is that now, you're hearing these cheers of USA, USA, and this unfettered and unabashed pride in the country coming from Democrats and stoked by Joe Biden. And this is the greatest country in the world. And all this stuff that you didn't hear up until now at Democratic conventions because you heard it at GOP conventions. And I wrote an article in HuffPost, and it's also on Liberals Unite. And I just want to read the last two paragraphs, if you don't mind.
Please.
So, prior to Trump, the Democrats have been relegated to the back seat of patriotism and nationalism. Democrats have had to, until now, argue that they, too, were patriotic, that they, too, stood for family, that they, too, were the party of business, that they, too, supported veterans, the military, and the police, values that Republicans had previously managed to claim as their own. Thanks to Donald Trump, the Democrats can now take the lead. And the Republican Party, thanks to Donald Trump, is left with little more than Donald Trump.
Well written, my friend.
Yeah, I thought that wasn't too bad.
He is holding, as we speak, his first event since last night's speech by now nominee Hillary Clinton. And just again, watching without the sound on, he said her speech was very average. Now, coming from him, that's quite a compliment.
Yeah.
Oh, and then he said more people watched my speech than Clinton's.
Whatever. More people watched the DNC than they did the RNC. So,
well,
the DNC had like 26 million viewers on the first night.
First of all, ratings aren't 100% accurate, number one. And number two, it was less than 1 million people. So, in the bigger picture, it's irrelevant. Anyway, now we can go on to Madeleine Albright.
Yes, Madeleine Albright was on today on MSNBC and was asked, I know you know this, but our listeners might not. She is of Czechoslovakian descent and recently found out that she has Jewish ancestors, which, of course, is highly relevant as with Czechoslovakia's involvement during World War II. I left some parts in here that may seem irrelevant, but I think the background is relevant, and her comment at the end is not only highly relevant, but hilarious.
Madam Secretary, you're an immigrant, someone who found out late in life that you were of Jewish ancestry. How does that background inform your consideration of a man who Hillary Clinton calls a dangerous demagogue? How dangerous do you think President Trump could be?
Well, I think he is, and let me tell you, my story is that I was born in Czechoslovakia in 1937, and the issue that was then was one as to which part of Czechoslovakia actually, should it go to the Germans. And so the issue of nationalism and hatred of other people came up then. And then the part, frankly, is that when Donald Trump talks about America first, there are a lot of bad memories of that. And Munich, which was the agreement made by the British and French with the Germans and Italians over the heads of the Czechoslovaks, America wasn't there. And it wasn't there because there was America first. And then there were questions as to how it was relevant and how it spread. And I was a little girl in London at the time. And then when the Americans came, it made all the difference. America first doesn't make any sense. America is exceptional. We are an indispensable nation, but we have to operate with others.
Do you think Trump could be a fascist?
And it's hard to label him anything except weird.
I love that.
Weird. Weird.
It's hard to label him anything but weird.
But weird.
Yeah.
Oh, he is weird.
Yeah, he's weird, and he's not looking very orange anymore, though. He must have done something.
Yeah, he probably stopped putting on that spray stuff.
Yeah, he's looking a little douchey.
You know, I've always wondered, and maybe it's just me, but I've always wondered why his hair isn't fake. You know, it's not a comb over. Why would he wear it like that?
Well,
I mean, it's just, did he one day go to a hairdresser and said, "Do I have a look for you?"
Lady Gaga's hairdresser.
Or are they plugs?
Yeah.
God knows he can afford it. Anyway, yeah. God bless Madeleine Albright. You know, she's a wonderful speaker. She gave a great address at the convention, and that interview just proves that not only is she very smart, but also has a sense of humor. So, anyway, Morning Joe. We'll turn our attention to Morning Joe. Now, you know, have you noticed that Donald Trump hasn't been on Morning Joe in many, many weeks now?
Do tell.
Well, he hasn't been on in many, many weeks now. I think
Well, thanks for that, Tony.
Not a problem.
Thanks for that, Tony Tripiano.
There's a reason for that, Richard Zombeck, because they ain't too nice to him anymore. And Joe has been doing op-eds. Well, he's been doing op-eds in the Washington Post. We already know how Donald Trump feels about the Post. But beyond that, Joe Scarborough has been less than kind to Donald Trump. Anyway, he addresses Donald Trump on the show today.
Okay. Joe, if you were a Republican leader, would you have your Senate and House candidates disown Donald Trump and start running away from him?
Yes, I would. I would.
What if they all
Yes, I would.
really
No,
want...
I would. I would say you have got to go back to your people, and you have to explain. I've always said this. Never underestimate your voters. Tell them the truth. You could see, you know, the center cannot hold when you have the Speaker of the House calling the Republican nominee a racist, but saying he's still endorsing the Republican nominee. It is so bizarre on its face that people are chuckling in the background. But when you have the Speaker of the House, the most powerful Republican, saying what he said is racist, when you have the most powerful Republican in government, the Speaker of the House, condemning Donald Trump for his continued laudatory remarks of Vladimir Putin, a thug who kills journalists, and who continues to kill journalists as we speak.
What did Donald Trump say when you pressed him on
that? When I pressed him on it, he said, well, we kill people too in America.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, and thank you, Republican leaders in Washington, D.C. That's who you're endorsing. You can go back to your people and explain why you can't endorse this man.
Cut him loose.
You've got to cut him loose.
You've got to cut him loose.
Yeah, but the thing is, how?
Honestly, Joe Scarborough just said it. You know, at some point, you just have to be honest with the voters.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be very difficult for them. I used to think, Tony, that their dishonesty was going against their nature, and questioned how they could sleep at night and eat and not have the runs like all the time, and just not be physically ill constantly. But I'm starting to realize that going against their nature would actually be to do something honorable and to act with dignity.
Well, and obviously in the world that I live in, and I'll speak for myself, I told you that I wanted Bill Clinton to apologize for NAFTA. It didn't happen. We don't get what we want in politics, Z. We just really don't. And, I want to go back to the Bernie or bust people. In what universe did you think you were going to get all that stuff? I'm serious. In what universe do you think that everything that Bernie Sanders supported could happen. I mean, some of the most liberal economists in this country said it would cost trillions upon trillions of dollars to do what Bernie Sanders purported that we do.
Right, and what everyone has made clear is that, you know, the stuff, the big ticket things that Bernie wanted got on the platform, and now it's up to the rest of us. And these people that support Bernie should know that, you know, and I can't even believe I'm saying this, but you get Hillary Clinton in, and then you spend the next 4 to 8 years pushing her and pushing the legislation and pushing the legislators and voting the down tickets and voting in mayors and voting in sheriffs and voting in attorney general, you know, all of that, and judges in the
and
counties
school board
that are actually
members
elected, and school board members, and you push them and you form coalitions and organizations to continue. Call it Bernie Bro if you want. You know, compete with MoveOn.org, whatever. Do something. Don't just think that, you know, oh, we're going to vote for this guy and he's going to give us all this stuff because he's going to do it all and we don't have to do anything after this. I can just sit back and, oh, yeah, this is wonderful. We have a great America now. Yeehaw.
Well, that goes back to my point about a lot of these people being immature voters. And I don't mean that in a disparaging way, but in the way that they're just neophytes to the political process.
Right, and the Republicans are much better at this because they're old, angry white guys retired somewhere, and, you know, living on their couch, typing emails every day to their legislator saying, "Listen, you need to get these Mexicans out of here." And meanwhile, you can hear a lawnmower in the background that's probably being pushed by a Mexican. And I'm not saying that's all they do. Don't get me wrong. Don't flame us. I'm just saying, you know, these are the people that go, geez, and they're the ones that sit down and write letters.
Dick Cheney. You just almost did your Dick Cheney. All right. Well, again, there was a lot that was happening last night that was non-Trumpian in nature. Well, kind of. Actually, that's not true. We're going to get to a lot of Trumpian stuff. But Tammy Duckworth, who's running for the U.S. Senate, now was there last night, spoke, and I'll let you take it.
Yeah, Tammy Duckworth also happens to be an Iraq War veteran. She served as a U.S. Army helicopter pilot and suffered combat wounds where she lost both of her legs and damaged her right arm. She was the first female double amputee from the war. And she is a senator. A representative from Illinois since 2013. And here's what she had to say about Donald Trump.
By the way, Donald Trump, I didn't put my life on the line to defend our democracy so you could invite Russia to interfere in it. You are not fit to be the commander-in-chief.
So there.
From a war veteran and from someone who was born in Bangkok, by the way.
And by the way, she's got herself in a heap of legal trouble right now.
Really?
A bunch of her staffers are suing her for unfair work practices. Oof. And and unfortunately, that trial is this month. They're trying to settle it, but the staffers don't want to settle. So it looks like it's going to go to a trial, and if it doesn't go her way, obviously it doesn't bode well for her Senate hopes.
That's too bad.
Tim Kaine said today that Trump's head's a scary place to be. How can you disagree with that?
You do want to be armed for that.
One of the, we briefly mentioned former Michigan Governor Jennifer Granholm, who gave a very rousing speech, a little too mechanical, but it was good. But I think the most powerful, and with all due respects to Secretary Clinton, the most powerful part of the evening, and you can disagree with me, Z, was Khizr Khan and his wife coming out to honor their son, who did an extraordinary thing.
Unbelievable.
And for those that didn't watch last night, basically what he did, I believe he was a captain, but I could be wrong. He told his men that were under his charge to stay back. There was a suspicious car approaching. He told them all to stay back, safely back. And he approached the vehicle himself. After 10 paces, the car blew up and killed him. And he saved a lot of lives that day while giving up his own. Now, before we get to Khizr Khan, who is the dad of this brave soldier, there was a video that was played before the Khans came out, Z. And Hillary Clinton actually attended the funeral.
Yeah.
And her memorial to him was beautiful, was emotional, was touching, was sincere, was real. That's the Hillary Clinton that we need to see a lot more of.
I agree, and we did last night. There's a quick 2 paragraphs in the Washington Post that I'll read real quick about Khizr Khan, the father who spoke. So Donald Trump was speaking at an event in Iowa, complaining that America was not allowed to waterboard terrorists when Khizr Khan and his wife walked up to the microphone at the Democratic Convention in Philadelphia. Khan's son, Humayun, was a captain in the U.S. Army. When a vehicle packed with explosives approached his compound in Iraq in 2004, he instructed his men to seek cover as he ran toward it. The car exploded, killing Khan instantly. He was awarded the Bronze Star posthumously. And he's a Muslim. I don't think we even mentioned that in anything we were talking about here. Apparently it doesn't matter to us.
Well, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to you.
Right.
And it didn't matter to the audience last night, but it did matter to the Khans. And let's listen to just a small slice of what Khizr Khan, again, the dad, had to say at the convention last night.
Hillary Clinton was right when she called my son the best of America. If it was up to Donald Trump, he never would have been in America. Donald Trump consistently smears the character of Muslims. He disrespects other minorities, women, judges, even his own party leadership. He vows to build walls and ban us from this country. Donald Trump, you're asking Americans to trust you with their future. Let me ask you, have you even read the United States Constitution? I will gladly lend you my copy. In this document, look for the words liberty and equal protection of law. Have you ever been to Arlington Cemetery? Go look at the graves of brave patriots who died defending United States of America. You will see all faiths, genders, and ethnicities. You have sacrificed nothing, and no one. We cannot solve.
Those last two lines were outstanding. You've sacrificed nothing and no one.
By the way, as we're taping this, it is early evening on Eastern Time. Khizr Khan is going to be a guest on Lawrence O'Donnell's show on MSNBC this evening at 10 o'clock, and I'm going to try to make sure I watch that.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got that queued up myself. Of course, Ann Coulter, the ultimate hate bag that she is, tweeted out, you know what this convention really needed? An angry Muslim with a thick accent like Fareed Zakaria.
Okay, I'm going to let it. I'm just going to let it go because that woman is just the absolute. Anyway, you know, I was. Never mind. I'm just going to let it go. Yeah. By the way, what was Fox News doing during this entire convention, and maybe more specifically during Khizr Khan's comments?
Yeah, I don't even know if. I mean, we can talk about it, but I don't know if it's worth playing the audio for. I mean, we can. It's up to you.
Why don't we?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, while Khizr Khan was talking about his son, this is what Fox News was doing. They cut out and went to this.
My husband, Ty Woods, was a Navy SEAL and a fierce patriot. He was killed during the attack in Benghazi while saving American lives under the charge of our State Department. When Hillary Clinton was challenged by Congress on who was to blame for the attack, her response was a disgrace.
The fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make?
The difference is while most families are reunited, some make the ultimate sacrifice. The difference is having accountability. The difference is being truthful to the American people. We need a leader who tells it like it is, who will have our backs. A leader we can trust to tell the truth. That leader is Donald Trump.
Great America PAC is responsible for the content of this message.
So it was a commercial.
And other commercials just like it. I mean, basically it was 7 or 8 minutes of pablum.
But by the way, that Hillary Clinton audio that was played during that is taken out of context for those that are not aware of it. Yeah. So, just letting people know.
Which really has, like, there's just no end to this. And that particular thing, because I've had people say that too. It's like, yeah, during the Benghazi hearing, she just said, what difference does it make? Like, yeah, listen, let me send you the whole thing and then talk to me. I don't need to hear the whole thing. Well, I think you do.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Hillary's speech, which I think that across the spectrum of media, if you will, she got a B. Pretty much got a B. Now, there was no great moment. I'll be the first to admit that. There was no real gotcha line. And I'm okay with that, too. It wasn't safe, though, Z. She didn't play it safe. And for your sake, she didn't end up screaming very much.
You're gonna regret that comment.
I said, oh, so you picked... Never mind. See, this is what happens when he's in charge of the audio. Anyway, we have our first female nominee of a major political party in this country, shattering a glass ceiling that some thought was absolutely impossible. The next step, of course, is the biggest one. So the question we'll ask ourselves as we work our way through the next 4 or 5 pieces of audio is, did this set her up for some success? So
yeah. And did you see did you see what she was wearing? You see the little number she was wearing?
Yeah.
Do you know the significance of that?
No, but you're going to tell me.
She was wearing all white, basically as a historical shout-out to the suffragettes.
Oh, well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, because the suffragettes wore all white.
Yes, they did. In fact, if you've not seen the movie that recently came out on the suffragettes, I highly recommend it. I hosted a special screening of that movie some months ago, and it was really quite a special film, so I recommend it highly.
All right. Well, let's get to the first piece of audio of Hillary Clinton.
In my first 100 days, we will work with both parties to pass the biggest investment in new, good-paying jobs since World War II. Jobs in manufacturing, clean energy, technology and innovation, small business and infrastructure. If we invest in infrastructure now, we'll not only create jobs today, but lay the foundation for the jobs of the future. And we will also transform the way we prepare our young people for those jobs. Bernie Sanders and I will work together to make college tuition free for the middle class and debt free for all. We will also liberate millions of people who already have student debt. It's just not right that Donald Trump can ignore his debts and students and families can't refinance their debts. And something we don't say often enough, sure, college is crucial, but a 4-year degree should not be the only path to a good job. We will help more people learn a skill or practice a trade and make a good living doing it. We will give small businesses like my dad's a boost, make it easier to get credit. Way too many dreams die in the parking lots of banks. In America, if you can dream it, you should be able to build it. And we will help you balance family and work. And you know what? If fighting for affordable child care and paid family leave is playing the woman card, then deal me in.
I thought that was a good soundbite.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, it's the usual empty promise platform speech, right? But it was good. It was well delivered. Shout out to Bernie Sanders. Shout out to his policy needs and the stuff that he was talking about. Very left, right? A lot of that was lefty stuff that the rest of us are going to have to push her on when she's in office.
All right, so as we were listening to that, how much of that is possible if the Senate goes back to the Democrats? And I realize the House going back is switching over is next to impossible, but, you know, the miracles do happen. But how much does getting the Senate back help her?
Oh, well, it's going to help her tremendously.
All right, so all of these empty platform promises that you just said are possible, I'm just suggesting, are possible under a Hillary Clinton presidency if she has a Democratic Senate.
Yeah. That's still kind of up in the air, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, the House is basically...
Let's say plausible.
All right, well, the House is basically the fiscal arm of the government. And the Senate is more the policy arm of the government. So for people that don't understand how that works. And that's why they have different calendars. That's why sometimes when one's in session, the other one's not, etc. Anyway.
Can you repeat that?
Repeat what?
The House, the difference between the House and the Senate?
Yeah, the House is more the fiscal arm, and the Senate is more the policy arm.
Thank you.
Okay. Why did you ask me to repeat that?
I thought it was interesting.
Oh, okay. I thought you were trying to catch me at something.
No.
It's my own paranoia. I'll get over it.
I'm not cruel like some people.
Maybe I need medication. Anyway, the nominee, the Democratic nominee, Hillary Clinton, continued, and of course, in an all-inclusive way. Let's go to the next soundbite.
Whatever party you belong to, or if you belong to no party at all, if you share these beliefs, this is your campaign. If you believe that companies should share profits, not pad executive bonuses, join us. If you believe the minimum wage should be a living wage and no one working full-time should have to raise their children in poverty, join us. If you believe that every man, woman, and child in America has the right to affordable health care, join us. If you believe that we should say no to unfair trade deals, that we should stand up to China, that we should support our steel workers and auto workers and homegrown manufacturers, then join us. If you believe we should expand Social Security and protect a woman's right to make her own health care decisions, then join us. And yes, if you believe that your working mother, wife, sister, or daughter deserves equal pay, join us. That's how we're going to make sure this economy works for everyone, not just those at the top.
By the way, did you happen to see the two teenagers that came on a little earlier in the evening and talked about being hired at the same pizzeria at the same time? I did. That was really powerful.
Yeah, and one was making like 25 or 50 cents less.
25 less. The young woman was making 25 cents an hour less, and they were both fired for talking about how much they got paid.
Yeah, and they both got and they both got fired.
And to this day, they don't know why he was given 25 cents an hour more than she was.
Well, we do.
Well, we do too, but I'm just saying, I thought it was a really powerful moment, so join us.
Yeah.
Let's for a moment, before we go on, and we're really running out of time, but talk about the DNC video that played before she came out. And these videos are awesome. They are. They're just so well done, and they can be. They can take, hours of footage and go through it and whatever. And, of course, anything that Morgan Freeman wants to narrate, I want to hear.
As soon as his voice came on, I was like, you don't even need, images.
Right. And he could read anti-diarrheal instructions, and I would go, that was awesome.
Yeah, terrific.
But he did a great job with that video. And it actually told a great story, especially about her childhood, about growing up, about her mother.
Yep.
And I was not aware of some of that. And so it was very good. So she talked about the family that she's from.
But my job titles only tell you what I've done. They don't tell you why. The truth is, through all these years of public service, the service part has always come easier to me than the public part. I get it, that some people just don't know what to make of me. So, let me tell you, the family I'm from Well, no one had their name on big buildings. My family were builders of a different kind. Builders in the way most American families are. They used whatever tools they had, whatever God gave them, and whatever life in America provided, and built better lives and better futures for their kids. My grandfather worked in the same Scranton lace mill for 50 years because he believed that if he gave everything he had, his children would have a better life than he did. And he was right. My dad, Hugh, made it to college. He played football at Penn State and enlisted in the Navy after Pearl Harbor. When the war was over, he started his own small business printing fabric for draperies. I remember watching him stand for hours over silk screens. He wanted to give my brothers and me opportunities he never had, and he did. My mother, Dorothy, was abandoned by her parents as a young girl. She ended up on her own at 14 working as a housemaid. She was saved by the kindness of others. Her first grade teacher saw she had nothing to eat at lunch and brought extra food to share the entire year. The lesson she passed on to me years later stuck with me. No one gets through life alone. We have to look out for each other and lift each other up. And she made sure I learned the words from our Methodist faith. Do all the good you can for all the people you can in all the ways you can as long as ever you can.
You know, she told a story about being a little kid, 4 years old, and her mom put ribbons in her hair. The kids in the neighborhood teased her, so she came back home, and her mom said, "You get back out there and figure out how to deal with that." That's interesting.
Yeah, no, I love the last part too. You know, do as much as you can for as many people as you can. I thought it was great.
Can we agree at some level that her commitment to children is unequaled? I mean, we can talk about all the crap that has been thrown at her. Some of it sticks. But on that score, there's really been no one that's been a bigger champion of children than Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Oh, absolutely. And actually, I'm still waiting because in the last episode, you told me you had a question for me today.
Did I?
Yeah.
What was the question?
About how I felt about Hillary Clinton.
Well, we don't have time now. And I told you we would do that at the beginning of next week is what I said.
Oh, all right.
I did.
All right.
Go listen to the podcast.
We can go a little over today.
I know, but ask Rita. If Rita listened, she knows that I said early next week we'll have that conversation.
Okay.
Well, let's close out with our last soundbite, the Hillary talking about my plans, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
That's how we're going to make sure this economy works for everyone, not just those at the top. Now, you didn't hear any of this, did you, from Donald Trump at his convention? He spoke for 70-odd minutes, and I do mean odd. And he offered zero solutions. But we already know he doesn't believe these things. No wonder he doesn't like talking about his plans. You might have noticed I love talking about mine.
I love that.
Doesn't have it. Yeah.
It was funny. She was kind of self-deprecating. It was well done. I want to say something before the end of the show, and because the Sunday shows and the weekend shows are coming on, and this is my feeling, is I thought her speech was excellent. I thought it was well delivered, and I thought everything she said in it was phenomenal. And also, I was watching the Republicans and the conservatives tweet, who basically said it was one of the best conventions they'd ever seen. Even Eric Erickson was, I mean, like total right-wing nutjob conservatives were saying that this was a great convention and that they're stealing our stuff and they sound like us and all that. And I would be completely shocked if this wasn't by design. And I think what's going on here, and I like it. I'm not chastising anyone for this. Is the Bernie supporters? I think a majority of them are not going to come over. Hillary Clinton can't bring them over. Bernie Sanders probably won't help to bring them over as much as he could, and they're not going to listen to Bernie anyway. And she is appealing, and so is the Democratic Party, because of Trump, is appealing to the independents and the Republicans that are on the fence. I've said this sarcastically, that Clinton is basically a liberal Republican or a left-leaning Republican. She's hawkish. She's tight with Wall Street and the banks, though not as much as I used to think. And I think she's going to pull. I think she's going to pull Republican votes because Republicans will hold their nose and they go, I like some of the stuff she's talking about, but there's other stuff I don't really like, but it's stuff that I can live with. And independents are certainly going to do the same thing. And Democrats will vote along party lines, and also because they know that politically you don't get everything you want.
Well, I think that and I agree with you, I think that one of the things that will happen once the election takes place November 8th is, as we had Reagan Democrats, we will have Clinton Republicans. And there will be pockets of the country, and again, the vote totals will tell us that story. That's not something that will happen in polling. It'll be something that actually happens in reality. And I don't disagree with you. And, Bernie Sanders lost his people. The convention made that clear. He did not have a command of them that he thought he did, at least to the extreme element, which is, by the way, such a small minority of the Democratic Party, or whatever party they now think they belong to. And shame on Jill Stein. I got to tell you, I've always been kind of a fan of the Green Party, but her solicitous way of trying to take advantage of what's happening in the Democratic Party right now was really ill-advised. And it's not that I don't appreciate the fact that she's trying to take some of the people away from the party. I get that. It's the way she was doing it that I have a problem with. And maybe we can explore that more next week as well. See, a couple more things I want to mention before we go. The Republicans that spoke at the convention were powerful. The ex-military generals and chiefs that spoke at the Democratic convention were powerful. But I loved when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar got up there and said, "Hi, I'm Michael Jordan," and and Donald Trump wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah,
that was really, really funny.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah, it was good. But in North Carolina today, something important happened. They had a very restrictive voter ID law struck down by an appeals court. Now, Governor McCrory, of course, is going to appeal it, which means another Supreme Court. And maybe we need to thank the Republicans for challenging all this crap, because they're making it easier for us to get what we want.
Yeah,
same-sex marriage comes to mind.
Yep.
And interestingly, in the state of Michigan, they had taken, the legislature had taken straight ticket voting off of the ballot, where, in most states you can just, fill in the oval at the top of the ballot, and that means you vote for all Democrats or all Republicans. Now, you still have to vote for proposals or whatever. Well, in Michigan, they took that away, and an appeals court just said that was unconstitutional and directed towards minority communities who vote, by the way, 70% straight ticket. Kind of hard to make an argument any other way. So, anyway, I just wanted to mention those two things before we wrapped it up today. And so I hope people enjoyed this bonus edition of TNZ Talk, because we normally don't broadcast on Friday. Fun. Yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah. And speaking of North Carolina, Reverend William Barber II, who's the president of North Carolina NAACP and the leader of North Carolina's Forward Together movement and part of the Moral Mondays that were going on in North Carolina, also spoke and made Republican head explode when he referred to Jesus as a brown-skinned Palestinian Jew.
Yeah, and I've interviewed him 3 times on Mondays, in fact, during the Moral Monday parade. And
he was awesome.
He was awesome, and he had that crowd. I mean, did you see when they panned the crowd? People were crying.
Yeah. It was terrific.
It was beautiful.
All right,
anyway,
I'm going to give the 411.
Absolutely.
Sorry to interrupt you. And 411 for TNZTalk.com. For TNZ Talk, go to TNZTalk.com. Find out how to friend us, how to follow us, find our archives there. And most importantly of all, click on support and find out the ways that you can support us. We do need your money. We need your contributions, your monthly donations. It'll take you to our Patreon page and other ways that you can support us. We do need to keep this going. We're having fun. We know that you're having fun, and everyone's getting informed. And that's it for me, Tony.
All right. Well, listen, everybody have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday. Just want to remind you that with the Olympics coming up, the general election actually kind of goes into quiet mode for a month, and that's a good chance for all of us to catch our breath. Not that we're going away. We'll still be here, but it won't be all Trump all the time. Thank you, Lord.
And don't forget to invest in mosquito repellent.
Yeah, especially if you're in Miami.
Or
did you hear
Brazil.
about that today?
Did
you hear about that today?
I
yeah.
did.
4 cases of Zika in Miami.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that'll do it for us today. I'm Tony Trupiano for Richard Zombeck, and as always, we ask that you be well.
Oh, yeah. Can you feel it? Just over the credits, just riffing now. Words and chords. Not the poetry and the real thing, but not bad for an ad-lib. Not good, but... And it's not long enough, so just do a little bit more. And that's nearly done. That's the final credit there. That's the end.